All right, folks, as your friend and mine, Frank Zappa, said, don't touch that dial because coming up next, a young man who retired after 7 months at EXP and then went to open 4 countries for the company is coming up next. Mr. Rich Tomasini on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. Oh my goodness, the guarantees just keep coming on. Man, I noticed something watching our little reel that comes on there at the top of the show, and I think your hair is getting a little long.
It changes with the seasons.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I just noticed a little bit. It's like you really kind of might have to go out and get a haircut after the show today.
I have to get a haircut?
Maybe.
Is that a requirement?
Yeah, might.
Might?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
All
might
right.
have to.
Gotta
Travis,
step
how
up
are
my
you,
hair
sir?
game. Yeah.
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm enjoying the hair talk that we get today.
Apparently my fade's lacking, Travis.
Man, and listen, we got a guy with some hair coming up here in just a minute, but before we bring Rich on, I wanted to just ask you, after that game against Denver, Travis, how do you feel the Cowboys redeemed themselves last week?
You know what? Against Atlanta, how they played, I would take it. I would take it. If they could play like that every week, we would be in great condition.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I think we needed a loss. It's good that we got it early on, too.
I think it woke us up. Woke us up.
Well, I'll tell you what, before further adieu here, or without further adieu, let's bring on the man that single-handedly brought on the entire United Kingdom. Well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but we want to welcome Rich Tomasini, my good friend from Charlotte, North Carolina, to the show. Welcome, Rich. Great to see you, my friend.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And we were talking a little bit before the show. This is definitely overdue because you have been somebody that you kind of fly a little bit under the radar, but man, it's like carpet bombing. I mean, this guy, when he hits it out of the park. It's incredible. And in fact, to the point here, we talked briefly at the beginning that you were actually able to retire, step out of the business after 7 months with EXP. How in the world can somebody do that?
Well, it probably starts with a good opportunity because I wasn't able to do it prior to EXP. But the revenue share for me was great enough to more than pay our bills probably in month 4 or 5. But by month 7, it was a no-brainer. Actually, Brent Gove is the one that convinced me to get out of production and focus on this. So I jumped off the cliff right around that time.
Jumped off a cliff. It happens that Brent's my sponsor. Boy, he's our. If it wasn't for Brent, I'll tell you, we'd all be singing a whole different song right now. So just props to our good friend and my sponsor, Brent Gove and James and Kathy and their whole family for sure. Rich, you do have a history in the business. I'd kind of let's just take a few steps back here. I'd like to explore a little bit about how you developed into this opportunity, what sort of led the way for you. Let's go as far back as you can remember. And tell us what it was like growing up in the Tomasini family.
Well, my parents were young, so it was a wild time. My dad looks like he should be on Sons of Anarchy. So he's got long hair and a full beard. He drives an El Camino.
Wow.
So it was sort of a kind of a lone wolf experience. But in 1982, we got into a very tragic car accident where my dad became disabled at 28. So I kind of went into sort of the caretaker mode, I think, psychologically early on. So that kind of jolted our family's trajectory. But all these years later, my parents live 5 houses down the street from my wife and my 2 sons. So we've all been able to stay very close,
So and I didn't even know about the accident. Wow, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear about that. But But your father was also in the real estate business, right? How did that happen? Was
Yeah.
he involved in that prior to the accident or after, or?
Well, we used to live in a duplex in the parking lot of Atlantic Federal, which was then Bank of America after they purchased them. And my dad was a branch manager at that branch. And after the car accident, he took an extended leave, and they were really good about it. But he couldn't sit in a chair and operate in the same capacity. So he got moved over into the appraisal department for the bank. And then years later, broke off on his own. And then when I dropped out of school, he was sort of like, "Hey, Rich, would you like to be a roofer or would you like to work with me?" So I weighed out both options and decided immediately that I'd take the job with him. So anyway, so he had
So
his own appraisal business
okay, so you dropped
as
out of
I
school.
exited. Yeah, I couldn't make it in college. My grades weren't very good. I was on academic probation the entire time I was there. I hung in for like 2.5 years. And anyway, I was working a lot of hours, so I was definitely not focused, and I didn't have the discipline and good study habits. I went to a really bad high school, so I just couldn't make it through. I mean, I tried. I would have graduated if I could have mustered up the ability to do so, but it just wasn't within my maturity level. you know.
Well, I mean, clearly, just because you didn't graduate from college didn't seem to have too negative an impact on the outcome here. In fact,
Yeah.
I think some people find that colleges, they're just not cut out for it and they need to go out and do bigger things. So you
Yeah.
went to work with your dad then sort of right out of school in the appraisal
Yeah, right
side.
out of school. Yeah. Yeah,
Now, for those,
I was in South Florida.
oh, South Florida. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Like what part?
Yeah.
East Coast, West Coast,
Uh,
Miami?
Yeah, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and so we covered Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County. Pretty long span of real estate there, and I was an apprentice appraiser with him for 5 years, and then 2 years after that, and then when we relocated in 2005 to move to North Carolina, which we didn't know anybody here, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm on the wrong side of this business. I can't stand having a ceiling. I need to get into the sales side." So I broke away. My dad retired at 51. I broke away and became a real estate agent for Remax.
All right. So you basically, like Gilligan's Island, wound up in a place where you knew nobody and decided to get
Yes.
started in real estate. What was that
Yeah.
like? How did that go? How was your first year?
It was great. I was rookie of the year, and I think I ran one of the top teams at Remax in the state. Probably by the month 10 or 11, we did great. I prospected. I had no money to farm. I had no knowledge, but I was an appraiser, and I had maybe overconfidence. I knew I could evaluate the real estate because I had MLS, I had comps. So I went after listings. That was the only advice I got. The owner of the company said, "List the last" on my interview, and so I went back and I hit the I hit the white pages and all these clunky websites like forsalebyowner.com and all these things, and I just started listing property like probably on day 5 or day 6, and it was a mess, but we got some traction.
That's old school. Were you like door knocking or how did you get a
Yeah.
hold of these folks?
Well, you got to think about it. This was in 2005. The internet was not what it is today. So I was door knocking apartment buildings. I was calling FISBOs, and I was going to their door and negotiating with them at the doorstep early on.
Oh my gosh.
So
So how many
yeah.
sales did you do your first year, Rich? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I remember I made 140 something thousand dollars. So I that was the most money I'd ever made in my life. It was like double. So I was encouraged, and then but I never counted units. I ran a team called the Synergy Group, which was just one of my friends, and we weren't formatted. And Remax wasn't like a team building company back then, so we sort of were winging it for a while. I never kept track of units. I just always needed to be closing 3 or 4 deals a week. I just kind of kept the pace, you know. So
That's incredible. I mean, your first year. So,
yeah.
where do you go from there? I mean, first of all, let me back up for a second. I'm not going to
Sure.
knock I love appraisers because they have a hard job. They really do. Most appraisers I know, their personality is they're like a high CS, something like that. They don't
They
have a
are.
lot of DI, which is really, those are the main drivers on the sales side of the business. Have you taken a disc assessment before? Do you know what
Yeah,
your
I
disc
have.
is?
Yeah, it's changed as I've gotten older, but I'm still probably high on the I, and then D and C are about equal, and S is almost non-existent, if you ask my wife.
Really?
Very little S. Yeah,
That's surprising. So, okay,
yeah.
did doing appraisals in that line of work, did that stress you out at all?
No, I actually enjoyed that job more than I did selling real estate, if I'm being honest. I didn't like the money as much, but I liked the work. No, I didn't. My dad's like a high C personality type, so I think I'm a very adaptable person, and it shows in my charting, even
Yeah.
though it's not really so much of a proclivity of mine. I'm pretty good on the details because I had to speak his language, and then the appraising just reinforces that.
Okay.
So as I've gotten older, I think the D is higher than the C,
Right,
but
right. Okay. And
yeah.
so after your first year, did you just continue to go on and crush it, or how did it go after that?
Well, man, listen, the market I saw the market crashing in 2005 in Florida. I was counting inventory. So when I moved up to North Carolina, it was my idea to move to North Carolina. I talked to my parents and said, "Hey, we're all going out of business. This is going to be a terrible, terrible tsunami. I'm getting out of Dodge, and I'd like to live near each other." So I pitched them on moving to North Carolina. And they did. And so we got out before it crashed. And I thought we were going to be safe in North Carolina from everything I could detect. But it hit us in North Carolina, I'd say, uh, not to the public, but if you were in the business and you were plugged in '06, and then by '07, it was like everybody knew that we were done. So I moved in '05. I got my license in '06 at Remax. I crushed it. '07, the market crashed. So, but yeah, I still stayed in my rank. I was still top of the office, but we were doing, I think I did 104 short sales from 2007 to 2009. So, I
Oh
mean,
my
we were,
gosh,
we
yeah, the
were,
business changed a lot. Yeah, for
yeah, that's
sure.
why my hair is white. I mean, that year,
I
I
hear you, brother.
remember
Looky
getting my
here.
first
Yeah,
gray hair.
I went through that period too. And
Yeah.
so, how long was your tenure at Remax? Then you said 7 years.
Yeah, no, I stayed in Remax from 2006 to 2009. In 2009, I got approached by a guy named John Bradford, who now holds political office in North Carolina. He's an ex-IBMer. He was only a couple years older than I was, and he started this company called Park Avenue Properties, and he was buying property management companies and restructuring them. He's like a capital venturist, essentially what he is. And anyway, he needed somebody to build a sales component to tap into the leads of the landlords from the property management. So he hired me for $10,000 a month, and I could make my own schedule. And then, in addition to managing the role that he wanted me to do, whenever I wanted to do it, he allowed me to take a percentage of any agents that I brought over for the sales side. So it was like my first dip in the pool with agent attraction. Although I was confined and I had a kind of a clunky model, I brought over maybe 25 or 30 agents from 2009 till
Yeah,
2012.
excellent. And so, was that where did you land before you joined EXP?
So then from 2012, I went to a little family-owned company called Lake Norman Realty, and there was 110 agents. It's like an old-fashioned company, and I was one of their top producers.
And this was the family is
Abigail Jennings.
was it Abigail Jennings? I'm thinking of another
That's
lake.
the
There's a couple of Lake Norman Realties. There's a father-son gentleman that's been over there for years and years and years. I used to coach him for a
that
while.
might be Lake Realty. Frank Free and his
Frank
son.
Free, yes, and Chip, his son.
That's
Yeah,
right.
great
So
guy.
Frank
Okay,
was
now,
my realtor when I bought the house in North Carolina.
okay, okay. Love those. Boy, what a great family. Love those
Yeah,
folks. They're really
yeah,
awesome. I need to give them a call and catch up. But okay, so
yeah.
wow. So EXP and you know, EXP was kind of small, I guess. What year was it that you joined, Rich? It was 2017.
September 2017.
You came in
Yeah,
not long after, yeah, because Shelley and Craig came in. We got them in and earlier in that year, and then I guess you and Bill came
yeah,
in at roughly the same time. What in the world
yeah.
possessed you to take an interest in a company that had about 3,000 agents at that time? that was just barely getting off the ground, had been around for 8 years and hadn't been able to, to hit on all cylinders yet. What was it that you saw in EXP at that point?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I actually saw the early adopter opportunity. I thought this company was like a pretty sound idea. It didn't feel like a really working brokerage at the time, if I'm being honest, but it felt like a really good idea. And what secured me with EXP, so AJ came over and immediately brought over Craig and Shelley, who immediately brought over Bill, who brought me over. We all came over within like 3 or 4 months, and we're not 4 people you can put in the same tent. So it's an interesting dynamic of how we try to figure out how to grow. But what ended up happening is I went to the first convention the next month in October down in Fort Lauderdale. I had never been to a convention before, and I met Jason Guessing, and I honestly got along so well with Jason Guessing, I decided to stick it out. So and I love EXP. I mean, this is like, well, if you look at my Facebook, it's evident. I'm wearing an EXP T-shirt. So I mean, I think this company is a real blessing. It's like the aspirin for realtors as far as compensation plans.
There was a rumor circulating around Vegas that you were out there a year or two ago and had EXP tattooed on your left butt cheek. Is that right?
No, it was the other side.
Oh, the other side.
Yeah.
Right butt cheek. Okay.
Yeah. I'm right-handed.
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, Hank just got a tattoo on his hand, so I think there are some people walking around with the logo.
That's great. I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
And so you joined in September, and it didn't take you long to create a bonfire. What in the world did you do in order for you to really be set up for retirement? You said, I believe, if I'm correct, before the show, you had already set yourself up with about $15,000 a month in recurring revenue after 7 months. How does somebody build something like that, Rich?
Well, you don't build it alone. So what happened is AJ had just come over. He was a young guy. I mean, he's still a young guy, but he was a very young guy when he came over. And he had his own way of trying to build out his thing. He was going to sell lifestyle, and he's a different generation than I am. So I was looking at that model, and I'm like, I don't know if that would be in alignment with how that would come out of me. So we were collaborating a little bit on that side. And then Craig and Shelley were really big producers, and they were upfitting their office space and building their team. But I don't think revenue share was quite in the focus at the moment. But Bill, my sponsor, was like, I'm good at events and you're popular in the business. We need to work together and build this, because I am not good at events. And Bill's a transactional agent. He does a lot of transactions. He's warm and fuzzy if you get to know him, but doing business, and I've done business against them for years. We're just moving along. So we felt like we had our negatives that each of us have were complemented by the other person's ability. So we started the Lunch and Learn. We got on the airplane and did all the Brent Grove events and pulled in as much as we could. And I had a lot of relational equity as a real estate agent, because I helped a lot of people in this business. I was a free teacher for everybody. So it was easy for me to make calls. I think I brought over 40 agents in the first 12 months I was here. So it was easy for me to build my level 1s and 2s fast. And that really equated to a quick revenue share. I think I was at, in September 2017 to December, right before Christmas, we had our revenue share. So that was 3 months in, I made $22.35. And so I had, I told my mom and dad, I'm like, I'm going to start paying you my revenue share while I keep selling real estate. So I started paying my parents revenue share and put my mom on payroll, which has continued all the way through. And by March, it was like $5 or $6 grand. By April, it was 15.8, and then it broke 20 in June. And right around in June, Brent Grove said, Rich, you got to get out of production. You got to focus on this. This is the time where we need you hands on. And I went back to my wife and I said, hey, listen, I want to do revenue share full time. Let's dial back on expenses. I'm going to go to prison, and when I come back out, just be here for me. But I'm going in a deep, dark place for the next few months. And my wife was like, whoa, hold up. So she's like, if you make over $20,000 for 3 consecutive months, like, let's do that before you just jump off. So I did it in June, July, and August and jumped off. And I mean, honestly, Bill and I, for the first 2 years, like, worked ourselves like very few people can keep up with. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of work, but we also had a lot of fun at the time too. So
Now you did a lot of lunch and learns and EXP explains and events where that were just free, come get some value, let us, drop value on you. How many events would you
not
say you
free.
guys did? Not free?
Yeah, we paid for them.
Oh yeah. You
Free to
guys
the
paid for
agent.
it.
Yeah.
Did you charge the agent?
No.
Did you charge agents?
No.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We didn't, and we weren't savvy enough to be using our vendors quite the way that we do now. So Bill and I were writing checks nonstop, and Craig and Shelly and AJ were quick to the deposit on those checks too, because we needed everybody. And we had 13 lunch and learns going on at once within 8 months in Charlotte. And then we threw some of the biggest events on the East Coast that EXP's ever had. I mean, we would conquer and divide. Bill would go out and get the venue. We would come up with a budget, and I would hammer the phones and get my agents to hammer the phones. And the last thing that we had before COVID, we had 850 people at our event.
800.
Pretty big
I
deal.
remember seeing
I've seen
pictures
that.
of that. That was
Yeah.
incredible. And
Yeah.
this just
That was
sort of
Glenn was there.
Yeah, it just sprouted out of four guys four guys and a gal
Yeah.
trying to shuffle up a few people. Yeah, that's amazing, Rich. And so let's fast forward a little bit. How big is your group now? You're personally?
Well, I'm the smallest of the four of them. I have 1,849 agents, 46 floor qualifiers, and 55 total frontline.
Wow, that is life changing.
for sure.
Yeah.
It is.
Now,
It
full
is.
disclosure here, we're not trying to suggest that, you can step into EXP and create what Rich has done. We need to set expectations here, but just give us a rough idea of kind of what that translates to into monthly income now.
Let me go back a step for 1 second. I try to set expectations based on the person, right? And when we're talking to a broad audience, we don't know who we're talking to. But just for the record, you could do that here, because I was not a coach. I've never been in any high-level masterminds where I had all these really successful friends in the business that I could call and they could bring over thousands of people. I didn't hang out with realtors because realtors get under my skin, to be honest with you. So I'm a person that relied on work ethic, overcoming objections, working around conditions, and some good karma in the business. I think it's totally duplicatable. If anything, we've seen a lot of people grow faster than I've grown since I've been here. So, but anyway, so I think this year I'm at within about $40,000 of $1 million of revenue share this year. I think I'm going to end up at 960. If next month is the same as this month, I'll end up about 960.
That's incredible. That is really incredible. Congratulations, man. And just knowing you and who you are, and you built that yourself. And I know it wasn't easy. I mean, you mentioned how hard you had to work to do those events. And I know that, look, we're like a family. Siblings don't always get along, with each other all the time and things like that. What was some of the big struggles? Was there ever a point, and I know you said when you went to Fort Lauderdale and you ran into Jason Guessing, that's when you were solidified, that's when you were kind of complete. Was there a point where you were thinking that maybe I didn't make the right decision, maybe I need to reevaluate this?
Probably up till last year. I think I went through 3 years of that phase. Yeah, I mean, listen, when you're doing a startup, which is what EXP was, there's a lot to cover. We've gone through a lot of state brokers here. We opened up the MLSs. Jason was reimbursing me to open up MLSs back in 2017. So, it's the company that I fell in love with when it was really small is a different company than operates now. Right. And in better and worse, and you know how things go. I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago. This is just the evolution of success at this company. So I've had some hard times. I've been sort of out on an island. Like when you said I've been under the radar, I felt like there's been a lot of credit taken, and then there's been a disproportionate amount of work. And I think that, to be quite honest with you, it's probably my immaturity saying that they need to be parallel roads. And they really don't in this matrix. And I think I struggled with that probably just growing up as a blue collar kid in South Florida. We were kind of like, grab the shovel and dig the hole. But overall, it all happened for a perfect reason, because I really had to step into a leadership role that I couldn't take a partner on or delegate, and it created a real good stickiness between my level ones and myself. And I have like a lot of people, like you saw Nakia Evans all on stage. She's my level one. Keely Tays, my level one. Barry Pulver, that reached out to Adam Day in the UK, is my level one. We've been able to really work in small groups, and it's been cathartic. I mean, I love these people. The people that are in my front line, I spend a lot of time with them. It's really nice.
I mean,
It's
if
been
you
a
don't
nice
mind,
experience.
kind of trying to expound on that a little bit, and talk about some of the successes that you've seen happen, within the group that you personally attracted. I mean, first of all, Adam
Oh my
Day,
God.
how in the world do you bring 4 countries? The United Kingdom is Scotland, Wales, England, and Northern Ireland. How does a guy from Charlotte, who was an appraiser for 7 years, and likes muscle cars and just a normal kind of guy that dropped out of college, how do you get yourself in a position to open up 4 countries?
Well, I think it worked out strategically in this case. So Barry Pulver was a young British guy with long blonde hair that didn't sell a ton of houses, but a very bright guy, and he was looking at getting some traction. And I had interviewed him at my last firm to join my team, and he passed on it. And then when I had a different platform, I went at it again. And he has an English accent. He's from England, but he lives near me, with 10 minutes away from me. And he really, really understood the model of international expansion through EXP. He saw the future of this. So he reached out to Adam Day on a cold call, because Adam had, I think there's a company called Hatch that was like a virtual real estate company, in contrary to the bespoke agency that is so common. In the UK, everybody's self-employed mostly, right? The
Right.
estate agents are self-employed. I mean, they're not self-employed, they're employed. So for us,
Exactly.
we had to
Exactly.
overcome getting self-employed and then not branding another company. So Adam and I are about the same age, and we just clicked. Adam and I coach together, and so Barry's in that too. I have a coach, and I coach my top 14 people all together, and we really built a good relationship, and we got him to the point where we felt like Glenn Sanford and Jason have to hate the idea. He was such a strong candidate. He had the vision. We had really got him as prepared as we could to present to EXP. And Glenn and Jason met him several times. He flew down to Las Vegas at one of the conventions before we even launched. He had been on the payroll for several months getting the infrastructure squared away. And we started to grow. And, Adam's got 267, 268 estate agents right now, started with one person. So that's how that story works. So Barry and I worked together in tandem. Barry had the British accent in the background. I had the knowledge, and Adam built a kind of a triangle of trust there. And then EXP just wonderfully took it from there.
That is incredible. And so, how is this new disruptive, even in this country, disruptive? How's it being accepted over in across the ocean there?
Well, it's EXP in 2013, right? I mean, here's the benefits. They are able to control the narrative, right? So they can explain it. Adam is he has thick skin. He's tough. He's got an indomitable spirit, and they have relentlessly gone through it. And the way that we were trying to train Adam to how to scale this was, we were very specific. I was specifically very targeted on which agents I wanted to bring over. I wanted people that were influential. I always looked at level ones as vertical columns. If I couldn't see them going down deep, I wasn't interested in unlocking level 7. I mean, I still have only 37 agents, Cliff, on my 7th generation. So I never cared about the 40. I was just looking for vertical columns. And Adam did a very good job at doing that. He found Scott Gunn and Ben Moore and Joe Rylett and Mark Bentley, Mark Bentley was like the Bible of an estate agent. I mean, he was in charge of their whatever systems they have. They don't have MLSs out there. But anyway, we picked the right people. And of course, there was a vacuum of followership or respect enough to get people's ears open. Like when Bill approached me, Bill and I never had any real relationship, but we had done deals together. But I know how many units he sells. So I would have met him for a beer to talk about pretty much anything.
Interesting.
So that
Wow.
worked.
That's such a great
Yeah.
story. I mean, when you look at this company and you look at it, we're just still in our infancy. We're talking 500,000 agents in the next 5 years, right?
Yep.
1 million in the next 10 years. I mean, it's doable. It's not even doable, but it's being done, right now. We're building it.
Yeah.
And just thank you for having all it takes is a little bit of a spark, to start a forest fire, right? And that's what I think we're all capable of that little spark. We're all capable of it. And then the forest fire just happens as a result of it. But if you're not out there creating sparks,
right? Yeah.
you're never going to have a forest
Yeah.
fire. And if you're in an environment
That's right.
where you're surrounded by stuff that, it's not a right environment where they don't encourage you to create sparks, then,
Yeah.
just don't be surprised if you're in the same place that you're at today, 10, 20 years from now,
yeah.
right? Isn't that right,
That's
C3?
true, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Rich,
Amen.
speaking of amen, I was just going to say, it must take a lot. You must have, where do you draw your inner strength? What is your, when Rich is having problems, where do you go to?
I go to Jesus Christ. Same pathway I always go to. I have a very strong faith. I'm not a conventional Christian in the sense that I don't go to church and I don't read the Bible as often as I should, and I curse like a sailor. So I've got those three things going against me. But yeah, I mean, I'm a deep believer, and I always, for myself, I pray at night is my church, and I ask for God to use me as a conduit for things that He needs to do. I am totally at His disposal. And in the meantime, I'll give you everything I got, but just make sure my two boys and my wife are okay, and my parents are okay. So I kind of make some trades, and He seems to honor them. So I just keep making them. So we're just trying to get to a point where my wife and I are comfortable financially. And then I think we're going to probably give away the rest of revenue share as they get older, as long as we're safe,
So I mean, and then this always gets back to not profit, but the profit motive. So how do you want your legacy to look?
I don't know. I think about that because I teach on legacy a lot. I'm a little murky on that. In a small picture, I'm crystal clear. I want my two boys to absolutely be incredible men, and that will be enough. But as far as a larger legacy, I'm not really one for the spotlight. I don't even use social media. I have Facebook because I was able to control the narrative in Charlotte. We're the number one office in the Charlotte MLS. We did $2.4 billion of sales this year. So somebody had to get out there and create the narrative and fight the Titans. And I'm good at fighting. Like I'll go heads up against anybody. So I tried to take that space. And even now I've retired that out to my agents who are using a different style that's very in tune with where we're at. And they're growing and growing and growing. So as far as like my legacy, like on a tombstone, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, hopefully you still got a lot of time to work on it. So
Yeah, his string's pretty good.
yeah, his strings.
Yeah.
My son says your string is pretty long. We talk about that string of life
Right.
A lot.
Yeah.
Tell us. There you go. Yeah, Rich. Tell us what is today? What is a perfect day for Rich Tomasini? When you wake up till when you go to bed, what's a perfect day for you?
I had a pretty good day today, just randomly. I woke up and went and saw a buddy of mine's parents who were like 84 and 82, and his mom made like a big pot roast lunch, and we caught up for 2 hours. They haven't been outside the house for COVID for 2 years. And then I came over here and I saw my buddy Tom, who's got 200 people in his revenue share in my office. And we did 100. We've been doing push-ups together all year. So we're doing 100 push-ups at a time now. And I'm 45 and he's 53, just because we had no time to work out or no interest. But anyway, and then I did this. I'm doing this with you guys, and I'll go home and hang out with my boys and my wife and eat dinner. I mean, I'm pretty happy, to be honest with you. It doesn't take a whole lot,
Well, this may be an unusual day. I know for a fact you spend a lot of time supporting the people that you've brought to the company.
Yeah, it is an
and you
unusual
mentioned
day.
that you coach with, I believe you said the top 14
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
in your group. What other things are you doing to support the people that come into your organization, Rich?
Oh man, All right. Well, this is a rabbit hole, but I'll list them out to you fast and stop me if you want to talk about any of them specifically. By not being in total alignment with the chronological order of coming over to EXP, I felt like I needed some systems, and I wasn't the person to set them up. So I reached out to Elizabeth Riley, to Hank Avink in Michigan, and to Mitch in Orlando. And I said, hey, guys, what do you say we create a thing called EXP Family Tree on Workplace? And we'll take in all the orphans that feel like they're on an island, and we'll all collaborate together. So we built out a website. I don't know if you remember, but you sent me that mega expansion. I ended up doing my own thing, and I borrowed a lot of the ideas from there. I just didn't want to be dependent on you. I just figured, instead of asking, I'll just build it. So we built it, and now we got 4,100 people in Workplace, and we're educating on top of EXP's 5,800 hours, about 12 to 16 hours of live coaching from, like Elizabeth's got 10,000 agents, and right, Mitch has got 1,700 agents. So we've got people showing how to do revenue share, how to sell, how to icon, and then we got a good referral network in there. So we got that piece in place. I paid for a coach, and I paid for a coach from day one here because I needed one. And anyway, we trained with my coach who lives in Puerto Rico with my top 14 agents. And then I hired another coach that's more of a sort of a holistic coach, two different types of coaches. And then I train with a different panel with them, and I swap people from group to group depending on how they're performing. In addition to that, Tuesdays and Thursdays are solely for third-party calls. I probably close just about every big team or brokerage that comes over. That's the main focus for me. I never meant to, by the way, Cliff, I've listened to you. I have a ton of respect for you. I think you're the brightest guy in the room all the time. I listened to you on the influencers thing. You've been through osmosis able to teach me a lot more about business and stock than I would have known otherwise. But one of the things I remember you saying to me, you're like, Rich, tee him up for me. And I'm like, why am I not doing that? It's just because of the pattern. I'm not used to doing it. I'm used to just handling it on my own, but anyway, I will take you up on that as I tire or if I outkick my coverage.
Well, I mean, it's not like we're talking with a slappy here. He knows what he's doing, right? C3. I mean, Rich, I should be handing people over to you probably, but that's one of the great things is that you look at the leverage in this company, and Elizabeth and Mitch and the people that you've put together in your family tree group. You guys, everybody's from a different part of the organization, and yet it's
different
still.
lines.
It's kind of like we're just cousins or brothers from a different mother kind of thing, but it's still it is one big family tree, and I'm just very proud of you guys and excited for what you've done. It really reinforces the culture here that you would never see at another brokerage, particularly with franchises, because they're so disjointed and it's so hard to unify people. But here it is. It's one brokerage, one love, whatever you want to call it, all for one, one for all.
One big fire.
One big fire, and we say that stuff and we really mean it here.
Right.
It is. And, that's the strength and the power that brings, to this organization is just incredible. The leverage, knowing that you can pick up a phone and call literally anybody in this company and get help with whatever you need is really, really exciting. Rich, tell us about a couple of some of the best moments that you remember in your 4-year career here at EXP so far? What is it that really just lit you up?
Oh man, I've had a few good ones. So retire my mom and dad, best thing I've ever done in my life outside of reproduce, right? So I mean, it's like that was a big thing. Without EXP, that does not happen. One of the funny moments is Bill and I were going down to a 400-person event that we had planned, and Brent Gove had flown in to see us, and we had a hurricane, and we were getting the hurricane from Florida, the effects of it in Charlotte. So we drove down to Charlotte, like a 45-minute ride, and neither one of us said a word to each other the entire ride, and 400 people ended up showing up. We thought we were done. I remember he looked over at me, and I could see the sweat dripping off his forehead. I was like, I don't know what we're in for here. So that, we've had a lot of fun moments here, and we continue to. Like, opening up the UK was awesome. I've got British friends now. My wife and I are going to go to England just to hang out with Scott and Ben and Adam. I want to meet Adam's wife and his kids. So there's just so much here. This is a remarkable opportunity. Remarkable.
What would you have to say to people who have been going to the Ford dealership to get information about a Tesla, what would you say to the people that are with another broker who are getting their information only from those sources about EXP, Rich?
I'd probably say that if you complain, you deserve the exact problem that you have. I mean, really, I say yes to every interview and no to every job. I mean, why would you not stay open and listen and learn? For the people that are closed-minded, you got to ask yourself, where else is that showing up? Are you closed-minded with your spouse? Are you closed-minded with your friends? Are you adopting the same philosophies that you had 10 or 15 years ago with less experience? And I just think that there's a majority of people out there that operate in those patterns. And I don't judge them. I just don't understand it anymore. So what I found in my experience is that people that understand EXP fast tend to do better. When we're convincing them to come over, here's another, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I've had a few agents that have been very hard to bring over here that took me 2 or 3 years. And thank God they iconed, because the stock has performed so well that now they're full advocates. So you don't have to be a revenue share earner to succeed here. You just have to be good at what you do. So I don't know. I'd say just keep watching, but you're going to keep watching as the rest of us are in the peak time at this company,
Yeah. No, and for those who say it's too late, what do you have to say to them?
Yeah, I don't think so, right? I mean, so John Mikish is in our market too, or Mikesh, right? You saw John hit 1,000 agents in a year. That's 3 times faster than I was able to hit it, right? You're seeing people grow faster than anybody else has ever grown. So if the opportunity is behind us, why are all the records being set now and in front of us? I don't understand how those two jive together.
So true.
Yeah. I think it'd be easier now, Cliff.
Yeah,
Well,
easier now. Yeah,
just the
exactly.
sheer numbers of people,
Yeah.
1,000 a week and more now at this point. Yeah. Were you going to ask Rich something?
I mean, just steal the show, man.
Yeah.
It's all good. No, I'm kidding. We
C3.
haven't really
I
talked
mean, I
about
didn't
your-
know when he was going to let you in.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know when he was going to let you in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of closed off. I just kind of have to jump in.
He's
so,
got to wedge his way in.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. But anyways, I just want to talk about your family for a little bit, Rich. You said next to breathing air, having children is probably the best thing that you've ever experienced. Can you kind of elaborate on that? You have 2 sons. You have an awesome wife.
Yeah.
Talk to me about-
I'm married.
Yeah.
I'm married to my best friend, right? We were friends before we were dating, so that helps, right? So I had my first son at 39, and then he was 1 year old when I started at EXP, and then I had my second son at 42. So I'm a late bloomer with that, and it's just like kismet, right? Because now I'm home, and we don't have to worry about money, and I'm not missing anything. So like, as long as if I live till I'm 90, I'm the smartest guy that ever lived, So I mean, it's just based on statistics, but yeah, I mean, it's everything, I mean, who better to hang out with than your immediate family, right?
100%. That's why I do it all the time.
Yeah. It's funny.
I don't blame you a bit.
Yeah, I got started with you when I was 36, and
That's
your
right.
sister when I was 40. So Rich and I are somewhat kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Plus, we happen to like some of the same things. Rich, tell us a little bit about your car collection.
Yes. And I like Texas, by the way. I've no state income tax, and I like the whole vibe there. And I don't have any exes that live there, so it's been an attractive fantasy of me to find out a spot out there. So I'm not much of a car collector, guys. I'm more of a custodian. I take them in, and in my diluted mind, I make them nicer, and then I find an end user for them to wash and show their friends, right? I'm more of a custodian. So right now, all I have is the C8. I drive a 535 BMW for my daily driver, and my wife drives a Porsche Macan. She had a Subaru before that because she's from Vermont, and that's what you do. But I got her into a cooler car since I drive when we're hanging out together. And then that's it. I'm looking at a couple things. I've been sort of having a sweet spot for an old 911 Porsche. I'm thinking like somewhere like around 74, 75. So I've been eBaying. So my wife makes me go to sleep with her, so I don't spend any time on eBay.
What's
If
that?
I'm up late with an eBay app.
Right. Oh, I'm sure those auctions can really be
Oh, the
eye-catching.
Meacham auctions, love them, man.
Yeah.
They've had some good deals
Oh,
go
me too.
across there
Oh, yeah.
lately too.
Telling you.
I mean, serious, yeah.
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 So what's that?
Yeah.
What's that big old red thing that you're working on out in the garage? Is that a golf cart or is that a Jeep?
Oh yeah, I got a Jeep too. Sorry, I forgot. I got a Willys 1956 Dispatcher. It's a DJ 3A. And what a dispatcher is, for those of us that would never have heard that, is it's a two-wheel drive Jeep Willys. It's not a four-wheel drive.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was a utility vehicle. So I'm putting on these big tractor tires. I had the rims welded with 10 inches more steel. And I'm putting on these tractor tires so I can pull my bush hog and cut my grass instead of buying a tractor.
That's
the whole goal.
hilarious.
Yeah,
You're
but-
gonna use the Jeep to mow your land.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
How
my
many
gosh.
acres have you got out there?
Well, okay, so that's a whole nother story that's working. So I have a modern house, an ultra modern house that I built, and I'm relocating to Greenville, South Carolina, and buying a farm.
Oh,
So I'm looking at trying to buy as many hundreds of acres as I can find. So I'm building the Jeep, and my whole goal was by the time the Jeep is built, the land will be purchased and we will start, you know? So I'm
Wow.
a couple months away.
This dude is living the dream,
Oh, yeah.
literally. I mean, you talk about somebody who has created, and you know, we talk about the three freedoms. We
Right.
talk about time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And
Yeah.
boy, Rich, it sounds like you've just scored real big
he's
on each one
balanced.
of those, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well balanced.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. Without EXP, I'd still be selling houses. I mean, in 2017, I made $405,000 from selling houses, and I almost put myself into a casket. So I don't think I could have done that. I've been 23 years in the business. I don't think I could have done that till I was 65. I'm just thankful this company came along. I mean, honestly, it's not really just the person, it's the opportunity. You could climb a ladder on the wrong wall and not get anywhere, you know?
isn't that
So
the
I'm
truth?
very thankful.
Yeah. Rich, man, it is so great to see you. And is there anything with it we didn't ask you that we maybe should have today?
No, I think you guys asked me more than I was prepared for. That's probably most of it. Oh, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What do you think about your I know your agent size based on November 1's posting, right? I track you guys. Do you believe that you guys will double in agent count in the next calendar year?
You know, our growth rate has been between 5 and 8% per month, and we've consistently doubled since I've been here. So I don't think there's any question. Yeah, I plan on being over 10,000 agents by the end of November, and I think we could certainly be at 20,000 agents next year. I don't see anything getting in the way of that right now. So
That's really cool to hear.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're trying
I like
to,
having, like John Maxwell always gives you margin, right? So I'm trying to get some margin from you guys of what that looks like.
no, we're trying to keep the, keep forging ahead here to give you guys a path, right? We want you to beat what we're doing. So, we're trying to cut through the trees, and then you guys come behind and just,
Blaze it.
just lap us here,
Yeah.
pass us for sure. Speaking of which, if anybody wanted to meet Rich on a more private, personal level, one-to-one, what's a good way for someone who'd like to chat with you, Rich, to get a hold of you?
Yeah, if you want my direct cell number, it's 833-EXP Realty.
Gosh,
No way.
that's branding. Is that branding?
That's awesome.
833 EXP Realty.
What a smart,
Yep.
clever
That
guy.
is that's the stuff.
That
right
must be
there,
that
man.
South Florida in him.
Yeah, it must be. And then I know you're
Yeah,
all
we
over
have to be
social
creative on
media. What on Instagram? What's your handle on Instagram?
I don't even know. I haven't checked Instagram in a year.
Oh.
I'm mostly on Facebook.
Facebook, okay.
But I'm not even on social media much. I post about once a week. So yeah, I just get tagged on stuff if you see my name popping up. But I don't want to be on social media. I'm trying to go to a flip phone and no cell phone signal.
I hear you.
Yeah, I know it. Isn't that the truth? Yep. Sometimes you
I
get
know.
what you pray for, so hang in there. All right, brother. Well, hey,
Yeah.
man, it's been
Okay.
it's been just it's been a real thrill and a pleasure to have you on the show today, and we're so grateful and thankful for you, and not just the work you're doing, but just who you are, and as a leader and as a role model in this company, as a dad, a friend, a husband, and everything that makes Rich
Thank you.
Tomasini and family what you guys are. Thank you, man. It's great to see
Thank
you.
you.
We'll see you hopefully in Cabo in March, if not sooner. And then obviously we've got another opportunity in Dallas coming up. Then shareholders is going to be
Yeah.
around, but
I'll be at shareholders for sure.
yeah, it'll be great to connect with you again in person. And if you're ever in
Likewise.
Dallas, brother, you got a place to stay.
Always.
So let us know, okay?
Thank you so much, guys. Nice to meet you today, C3, and thank you, Cliff, for all the time. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
Trelvis, thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
sir. That's going to be a wrap here today. What's the Cowboys this weekend? You liking them?
It's the Chiefs Cowboys.
It's going to be Patrick
3:25.
Mahone, my homeboy, coming in from East Texas.
I don't know about that.
I
Yeah?
think we'll take
We're gonna-
them. I think we'll take them.
You
I'm
think
gonna put
Kansas
that
City-
positive in the air.
100%. We got a good run at this weekend.
Yep.
Kansas City, we're coming for you.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, there you go. You have it right here, live and in person. C3 is laying it down. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys. We're going to have a show next week. No, it's Thursday. Is that Halloween? Or,
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
And
What am I
the week
thinking
after
of?
that, we're going to have Dave Collins on.
Oh, Dave Collins from Realogy, and he's
Yeah.
been at EXP
Yeah.
now for a good while, almost a year.
Yep.
That'll be an awesome show. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for being our loyal audience. We love you guys. Couldn't do the show without you. And we'll see you in 2 weeks on Cliff's Notes.
Notes.
All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it.